interoperability, central banks, digital currencies, central bank digital currencies, ease of use, token economics. Guys, these are the most important things in the blockchain and crypto space. And Quant's Overledger technology is the one solution tackling all of them. Well, Kyle, if Quant is solving all these problems, then why are you considering selling your bag? Well, guys, I have been an investor in Quant since before the ICO. That's right, I invested in the private sale of Quant, and to date have sold half of that investment. And today, I'm looking deeper into Quant with you guys because, as you know, I looked into Chainlink, right? And I'm incredibly bullish, and they have so much traction. So it forced me to go back and look at my other large holdings and decide, what am I going to do with them? Because right now, I want to put as much as I can possible into Link. And so I'm looking at my other large bags to see if I should hold them, sell them for Link, or if I discover some really bullish news, like I might unveil in this video, then I might buy more of that project. So let's get into Quant. And if this sounds good to you guys, if you appreciate my research and bringing you guys what I'm finding out, this is what I'm doing in real life with my actual assets, right? And I'm bringing this to you guys to share with you. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Kyle Chasse. I've been in crypto for 12 years. I'm a venture capitalist. I have a venture studio. We build things, help people and projects go to market, and I know how the space really works. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and like this video. If you haven't, share it with your friends. Get this information out there. It would help me a lot. I really appreciate it. Let's get into what is Quant Network. And Quant Network right now isn't performing so great this year. You can see on the 1 year chart, it is down the most it's ever been in 1 year. Now, let's get straight out and address some of the FUD. I've seen some tweets, and I don't have them here in the show layout, but there has been some tweets about the fact that the team has been selling every 3 to 5 days, and there's also some talk about some of the executives wanting to leave. And guys, let me break the news to you. Every project sells their own tokens. They need them. That's what it's for. When you look at these pie charts of these tokens, teams are going to sell their tokens to fund the continued development of the project. And Quant only raised, I believe it was like $11 million in the ICO and maybe some money before that, or $11 million total. And then I think they did a private round of fundraising in 2020 again. The first ICO was in 2018, and then 2020, I think they did a private round as well. But I think they've raised only something like $15 million or something, right? And for someone building such a huge piece of technology, that burn rate since 2018, we're in almost 2024, that's 5.5 years of development. They're running a pretty lean and agile model if they've only burned through $15 million so far. So of course they need to sell their own tokens to pay for something. And yes, it sucks, it affects the price, but on the flip side, at least the amount of tokens in circulation is high right now. You can see that nearly all the tokens are circulating, 14,544. So there's only like 100, there's less than 100,000. There's like 60, 70,000 tokens still that are in the treasury for Quant right now. So the good news is that this is almost fully diluted valuation, which means there's not a whole lot of inflation left to come. So what I found out in digging into Quant is that it left me longing for more information, but I will tell you what I did find out. And of course, at the end of the video, I'll tell you what I decided to do with my bag of Quant. It is a large holding, guys. This is a very small supply, and I own a decent portion of it. Now you can see here on Quant Investors, Master Ventures, here's us. You can just show you that. And let's get into what Quant is real quickly. I'm not going to do it. I already made a video on Quant before, but essentially it's an overledger, and that'll become more clear as I show you an infographic later. But what I really wanted to do, and there's plenty of videos over there, what is Quant? But just high level right now, Quant is building what's called an overledger. They claim to have solved the interoperability problem since 2018, which, as you know, CCIP is also doing, which you also know things like Cosmos and Polkadot have also attempted. And as you know, I've been an ultra bull on interoperability, so it's a natural fit that I would look into Quant and see how the progress is coming along. So I wanted to look and see what kind of partnerships that they have right now. And let me tell you guys, these to me aren't very exciting, right? It's Oracle. Oracle's huge and massive, and so is Nexi and LackChain. They're decently big, but compared to what Chainlink has with hundreds of publicly known partnerships and some massive ones like DTCC and Swift, you want more when you're looking at, traction. And both projects have been around for a long time. As you can see, Quant was founded in 2015, and I believe Chainlink was 2014 or 15. So they've been around about the same amount of time, and they're going after a similar type of audience. Now, Quant has a bigger scope Chainlink has a lot of other products too. So I was going to say, when it comes to interoperability, they're both going after interoperability narrative. The difference is that Chainlink believes that most people are going to want to have their own chains, their own app chains. Every bank will have their own chain. Most applications will have their own chain. Most games will have their own chain. And that's because they want to control the functionality on their chain. They want to control the way that the payments are done. And then those chains will need to be able to talk to each other. And that's what CCIP is doing with Chainlink. Now, Quant is tackling that in a little bit different way. They're saying that we're going to give you the same ability to go multi-chain, and they're connected to a bunch of different chains, right? We're going to give you the same ability to go multi-chain, but you won't have to do this. They're doing everything to be able to settle, so people can build what they're calling MDApps, which are multi-chain decentralized applications, and you're going to be able to do that through API access and plug in a bunch of different APIs through service providers like PayPal, or maybe it's Shopify, different private or public blockchains, and that all seamlessly happens through their overledger technology or their operating system that you can build your MDApp directly on top of. It's really ambitious idea, guys, right? Really ambitious. They also have things like state channels, layer 2 state channels, and from my understanding, this works something similar to what Ripple's trying to do. So they're also taking on what Ripple is doing. Now, they have a very nice token economic model. We'll get into that in a bit with Quant, how a lot of the fees that are locked up for staking to use their services for memberships, those fees, instead of going into, they go into state channels to be used as liquidity for, cross-border payments or for payments, which is kind of what Ripple does. But Ripple depends on market makers, where Quant builds it into the token economics to reduce token velocity. That's nice, guys. That is really nice. We'll get into that in a bit here. But let's get into what is really exciting. What is big here? What is a big partnership? So Gilbert talks about, who's the founder of Quant, says, I'm incredibly proud to announce, to be able to announce that Quant Network has been collaborating with the BIS, Bank for International Settlements, and the Bank of England on Project Rosalind. Doesn't that sound like, that sounds like something you'd hear, coming out of a leaked document from the CIA 50 years later? Doesn't it sound like, yeah. A project designing and implementing CBDC APIs and platform for testing use cases for CBDCs with financial services participants. We were chosen to provide the technology because of our history of innovation, expertise in financial services, and deep experience in payments, previously running mission-critical infrastructure. Only we can do what the project needed from a technology partner and payments expert. The project has produced tangible, real-world examples that tested how CBDCs would support a more digitized economy in the future, working with participants like Bank of Canada, Barclays, MasterCard, and Amazon, massive names, guys, who built and tested the new CBDC payments flows on the platform. CBDCs are coming. I encourage every bank and financial institution to read the Project Rosalind report and start planning their smart money infrastructure strategy. Now, if you guys know me, you will know that I am not a fan of CBDCs. And just by that pure ethical and ethos standpoint, I should be out of this, right? But I'm also a builder in the space. I'm building technology. I'm building blockchain technology. And I want to make money where I can. And you guys, my audience, I'm pretty sure that you guys want to make money where you can too. So we are trying on this channel. I want to let you know where my ethos are, my values are, but I want to also provide as much value to you, the viewers, as possible, so you can make as much money as possible and become financially free and change your life forever. So we're looking at the biggest opportunities here. Who's doing the most massive things? Because it's all about who's building a blockchain application or use case that has a token that you can get into and make sick gains, guys. Of course, nothing here is financial advice. I'm just telling you, I'm just bringing you along in my journey. So the Bank of International Settlements is huge. Let me just go out of order here and show you this. So I just wanted to, so the Bank of International Settlements is the bank of central banks. And I said on ChatGPT, would it be safe to say that BIS is the central bank of central banks? Yes, it would. Chat says, yes, it would be safe to say that the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, is often referred to as the central bank for central banks. While it doesn't function exactly like a national central bank does for its own country, the BIS serves many roles that are reminiscent of central bank functions, but on an international scale. So it's not a national central bank, it's an international central bank of central banks. So yes, while Chainlink has DTCC and SWIFT, which is massive, the biggest bank in the world, I think, is the BIS. And they also write regulatory guidance, and they also provide guidance and structure for all the other central banks as well. And so if Quant is working on the central bank digital currency strategy with the BIS, and they're using their technology, there's a good chance if this experiment comes to fruition as implementation, because that is also really important here to take into consideration, guys. Because you can see here, this is the official announcement of Project Rosalind from the BIS website directly. We have evidence here that it is true, but bring your attention to this project is purely experimental and does not reflect any intentions by the Bank of England or on CBDC policy, design, or launch. So right now, this is the biggest thing going for Quant, and it's unsure at this stage, and it's actually also unsure for Chainlink if DTCC and SWIFT actually, because their status right now is intent, right? And this also seems like, to me, without actually being qualified, because I can't find anywhere on Quant's documentation or the website where the enterprise ecosystem exists and what the status is. But I imagine if it did exist, the BIS and Bank of England and later Bank of Korea are probably all in the intent stage. So this is really, really big actually here, guys. Now, let me just share this video with you quickly here.
Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are digital forms of cash. Many central banks are exploring the use of CBDCs to buy goods and services in shops and online. Project Rosalind from the BIS Innovation Hub London Centre and the Bank of England is testing how APIs could enable retail CBDC payments and support innovation. The project builds a prototype of this API. APIs define how systems should talk to each other. The prototype connects central bank ledgers with private sector service providers. It experiments with API functionalities that would enable providers to develop applications. These applications would help individuals and businesses to manage their CBDC balances with the central bank and make payments to each other in shops and online. Working with collaborators from the public and private sectors, the project explored many CBDC use cases. Some use cases tested integration with existing payment systems, some tried new ways to make payments, and some tested applications with emerging technology. The project explored how the API prototype could support private sector programmability. For example, after placing an order, a customer could agree to put away a certain amount of CBDCs so that a merchant could have certainty that the customer will be able to pay. Programmability could also allow payments to be triggered when agreed conditions are met, so that consumers would only be charged when their orders are delivered. The project also tested a privacy model that would not give the central bank access to users' personal data. The Rosalind experiment shows that the API prototype could support many different use cases and could work with different central bank ledger technologies. It could connect the central bank, service providers, individuals, and businesses to create an ecosystem. New ways to make payments could be added as the ecosystem continues to innovate. Project Rosalind, building API prototypes for retail CBDC ecosystem innovation.
So there you have it, guys. Now, you can see in here how they approach CBDCs. Now, of course, CBDCs, for how much I don't want them to happen, there is obviously going to be some improvements to some people's quality of life as long as you're a good citizen and obey and don't do anything that's going to make them. But who knows the future? I'm not trying to be too tinfoil hat right now. But you can see how they're painting them as a really nice kind of picture for people, and they are coming no matter what. Thank God we have Bitcoin and decentralized currencies for permissionless peer-to-peer transactions, but CBDCs are happening, and we're looking right now at the technologies that are helping build the infrastructure for these things to exist on top of, and Quant obviously is one of them, right? And so you can see here too, another tweet here, SATP spotted, and SATP is a technology that Quant built. It's an international standard for improving the bridging process between different blockchains, mostly permission to permission, but I think they can also do permissionless as well. But they're working with the central bank of Korea as well with their CBDC. So you can see this is kind of what I'm thinking, right? Like if it works with the BIS and Bank of England, that's their first initial test case. And if it goes well and they end up implementing it with it, then you see Korea, and then you see Japan, and then you see everybody else coming in, right? And so what does this all mean, for essentially the token? So I wanted to find out more because, that's what you guys are all interested in. Does this token have value? And, how much of the value accrual goes back into the Quant token versus how much money is Quant, the central private company, making? And there's not a lot of transparency here into this, which is leading me to a difficult place in making a decision. And I don't know, I don't have the details like I did with Chainlink of how much revenue they're generating. Are they generating revenue? What's going on behind the scenes? We don't know any of that, right? There's a difference in ethos of how transparent Quant is choosing to be versus Chainlink. But I wanted to figure out, because I often do look at this, whenever there's a centralized company that's generating revenue and they have a token as well that plays some sort of part, or maybe not at all, how critical is a token in the ecosystem? And after reading this, guys, I will link it in the description below. I suggest that you check it out. It is very apparent that the token plays a critical role within the ecosystems. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can see some of the utilities, and they're very, very clear and adamant this is a utility token. Details of the Quant token utility: licenses, overledger network, gateways, platform fees, add-on services, user licenses, community treasury with layer 2 payment channels. That's the Ripple thing. Consumption fees, marketplaces, open source connectors, combine any blockchain and API-based system to create new products, multi-chain oracles, gateway staking, signing of transactions, and more. So it's pretty clear to me that, when it comes to Quant, Chainlink, and Ripple, they're all doing something similar, however, also something different, right? And it really depends on, I think in a global world, East and the West, and BRICS and G20 and the G7 and everything, I think there's a lot of room for all of these guys to be successful, and this is not my favorite place to talk about, guys, just so you know. Like, I would much rather be talking about the next cool thing like Commonwealth that's going to bring, democratized opportunity, or Paid Network who's doing something incredible. But right now we're talking about this because I have a big bag, and you guys have also been asking for it in the comments as well. So, so licenses, this is really interesting, right? So to use licenses, I'm not going to go to all the different types, but it works in this general fashion. So Quant is purchased for annual licenses and locked up in a layer 2 payment channel for 12 months, thereby reducing its circulating supply and token velocity of Quant. If you guys watch my channel a lot, I talk about token velocity, and you want that to be reduced. Check, very nice. While granting developer access to the system. After 12 months, the license expires and the locked Quant token is moved to the Quant treasury. To continue to be able to access the system, the developer must renew their license, repeating the process, resulting in Quant being locked up for a further 12 months. This creates a constant yearly demand for Quant, and as the platform grows exponentially, so too will the number of licenses required to be purchased each year. So what happens? So someone comes in, and this is developer licenses, this is enterprise licenses. It works all the same way, essentially. So they're going to make it so anyone can pay in fiat too. They don't want to burden people with buying Quant. That's all handled on the back end. Very nice. Another checkbox there. Ease of use. So you'll be able to come in, pay your annual fee. Let's say it's $10,000, $100,000. You pay in fiat. That on the back end is converted into Quant, and then that Quant goes into their L2 state channels for payments. Now, remember from the Ripple video, if you haven't watched it, go check it out, how those cross-border payments happen. They happen by having that centralized token running on the XRP ledger, which acts as a bridge currency, so someone can send dollars to Mexico and receive pesos in a matter of seconds because it's transferred using the XRP token, or in this case, the Quant token as a bridge currency. This is what I'm guessing. I'm not 100% accurate on that or 100% sure. Let me know in the comments below if I made a mistake there, but I believe that's the way that it works as well. Because also I read the announcement from the company, I forgot who it was, that invested into Quant in 2020 that said that they realized that Quant is doing what Ripple has actually tried to do. So I believe that's what's happening here. So the same thing happens with the licenses, but the licenses will happen depending on these factors here, or the fees will be dependent on how many employees there are, number of users, types of numbers and numbers of applications, and the volume that happens on the network. So you can see kind of a good image here of what the overledger technology happens. And this is essentially what's going on. So you can see the overledger here and all these applications that are being built on top of it, multi-chain dApps, and they all build on top of the overledger. And they can pick any type of public blockchain. They can pick all the different enterprise private blockchains. They can use the different banking API apps, so you can integrate with your Bank of America or JP Morgan. But you can also use things, if you're building this app over here and you need to tap into like Azure or Microsoft Web Services or Google Cloud, and then you need a banking integration to happen too, and you want it to be some things on a public chain and some things on a private chain, and then you want to be able to pay with things on Venmo or PayPal or Apple Pay, and you also want some integration, things like Zapier or Gmail. Boom, you can put that all easily without having to know any blockchain technology using the overledger operating system. It's pretty impressive, and yeah, like that's probably why they've been selling the tokens. This is a lot to build. It's a huge, ambitious goal, but they've been working on it since 2015, guys, and claim to have solved interoperability since 2018. So more use cases for the token. Users are required. Community treasury. So the community treasury is a multi-chain dApp operating in a trustless manner with the use of layer 2 unidirectional payment channels. This enables scalability of payments for transaction fees in Quant. So I believe, community treasury role is to handle Quant payments flowing from users to the gateway in such a way as to disincentivize faulty behavior from any user or gateway, and to do so in a manner where it can hold accountable to any observer. So I'm not really sure what the treasury is. I'm not going to go into it deep here, but my question was when those licensing fees unlock from the 12-month they have to be there in the state channels, and they go back to the treasury. Is it the community treasury? And if it is, who decides the way the treasury is spelled? But I think you can find out more. If you're curious, go ahead and check it out. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to get into it. More use cases for the token. And I went through this whole thing, guys. It's really interesting. Again, I will link this in the description below. But you can see there's clearly, the Quant token is clearly necessary for the Quant network to function. And at first I was pretty hesitant because there was a section here where someone pointed out to me where it says that, why don't you provide more information about the Quant token? And they point out this thing. I think it's some FUD somewhere where they say, we're building enterprise-grade products and solutions aimed at financial institutions, governments, corporates, and the partners and developments who can support them. The Quant token is an integral part of our platform, used most notably for to pay for software licenses and sending transactions, but it's not the focus of our efforts. And so people took this out and said, but if you read up further, it's because they obviously don't want to seem like a token as security, right? They want to be strictly, so in everything that they make public, all their marketing material has to be around the fact that it's just a utility token, right? And they don't, even if you, like here, would you like to list Quant on my crypto exchange? Thanks, but no, we have no interest in promoting your token as a cryptocurrency. It is a utility token for the Quant ecosystem. It is used as a form of payment for Quant services, most notably as a way for overledger users to pay for their fees explained here. But as you can see from the exchanges they're actually listed on, it's all of them, right? MXC, BitGet, CoinMetro, Binance, Coinbase, everybody, right? It's clearly that is, SEC attorney, lingo. So where were we? Okay. So open source connections, they've got multi-chain oracles, blah, blah, blah. This is another cool infographic here where it just shows you the same kind of thing that we saw earlier. We can kind of mix and match your different thing to make your perfect multi-chain dApp. And yeah, this is all the utilities of the token. And it's interesting when I started reading this, how it flows all together. So let's address some of the FUD before I tell you my final thoughts on this whole thing right now and what I'm doing with my bag of Quant. So I logged into Twitter today because I've been seeing the FUD around Quant and wanted to do a bit of digging. Team selling, I addressed that already. Pivoting to consulting and code auditing. Are they pivoting or are they just adding more services to create more value? Same thing that Chainlink has been doing, right? They just add more and more services. They've got VRF, they've got proof of reserves, they've got price oracles, they've got now TCIP. So, and then employees leaving. This happens with every project, guys. This is nothing, and I think the employees leaving weren't even like super senior or, this happens in every company or project, guys. So now the big question is, Kyle, what are you doing with your bag? Now, I wish there was more transparency. I wish we had more visibility. This article I found wasn't even from Quant, talking about the token economics. I wish there was more transparency. I wish there was more visibility in the partnerships. I wish we knew more about how the partnerships were going. I wish we knew more about the revenue. This deep dive that I've done over the past couple of days has left me longing for more information. And I wish it was available. I wish there was more. I wish that we knew there was more people using this. Where Chainlink, you know that there's hundreds of projects in the Web3 echo chamber that we live in, using it, all the DeFi projects. We're using it for our project. Everybody uses Chainlink. It's an oracle for VRF, games do, for lotteries, for casinos. Like everyone's using Chainlink. And it's on all kinds of chains. And they've been working with Swift for 5 years on a proof of concept that's obviously going really well. You don't continue to work with someone for 5 years and then it just ends, right? And there's a lot of reasons to be bullish there. I don't have that kind of reassurance and warm feeling in my stomach for Quant. Even this partnership, it just was recently announced in June, this project Rosalind, and that's new. So imagine that, but when I do read about it, and I didn't go in depth on the research or paper, but I believe it's now been completed. So I would be, again, I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do here, but trying to give you information to go do your own research. And what I would do is I would go, and what I will do after this, is I will go look at this research paper and see when did the project start, how long did the whole project take, and are there further action items from that? And that maybe will give me some more confidence to know if it seems like the BIS and all the central banks that they control, will they be using the Quant Network? And if they do, to what capacity? And if that is implemented, what capacity and what will the demand on that token be? I wish there was more partnerships. I wish there was more adoption right now. And as you guys know, if you haven't seen my Chainlink video, make sure you go watch it. That actually is several that I've made, but the one that the title is like, I just put $1 million in Chainlink. I think at this point, I'm probably, because I'm so bullish on Chainlink, I think it's so far along, I'll probably sell 50% of my Quant after I do this research and put it into Chainlink. That's probably what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. Again, my name is Kyle Chasse. I will catch you guys on the next one. See ya.